how has life changed for you since you got involved with the Community Trust?
Quite dramatically, to be honest. So I came to a new city. I'm originally from Birmingham. I came out of rehab and ended up living in the Padley Homeless Centre after going through years of addiction. So I got in touch with the Community Trust through, I believe it was Aquarius at the time. And the first person I met was Lee Fernley, who's been a massive help to me. Just got me involved in regards to, I wanted to do fitness and exercise because the transition from coming out of rehab back into the normal world, you're going from a bubble back into society in a new city. I didn't really have anybody. I just got connected with a church, so it was a bit daunting, to be honest. So it played a big part in regards to giving me, I suppose, structure to the start of my week, and it developed into a lot more of that, in the sense of some people think it's just about gym pass, but it's a whole community based here, and Lee took me, I suppose, under his wing, and I met great friends. I've got Jimmy, become a bit of a sort of a family, which was a great foundation, considering I didn't know anybody. So yeah, so that was pretty much how I came about it.
You said structure there, and we're all creatures of habit, I guess. Was that sort of the biggest unknown, maybe the biggest fear when you leave rehab, where I guess everything is very structured, is very organised? When you come out, is there a bit of a fear of not having that sort of thing around you anymore?
So I became a Christian in rehab, so completely changed my life, considering the person who I was through addiction. I was angry. We're all social beings, and 9 times out of 10 addiction goes from trying to block out some sort of pain or trauma that we've gone through childhood or something in our life. So for your emotions to come back and to fully start dealing with something can be quite overwhelming. I think structure is important in all aspects, so it's the same rule I apply to my children and stuff. You have to have some sort of routine or structure, because otherwise, if there's nothing to occupy you, you start searching in all the wrong places sometimes, especially in the homeless community, and the Padley's a homeless hostel. Misery loves company, man. And unfortunately, if you've got nothing to do, so 9 times out of 10 I used to get into trouble because I'd start hanging around with people who weren't doing anything either. But then that leads, because we're social beings, you want that sort of connection and relationship. But then the thing is you feel justified because you're doing the same badness as somebody else, which is where it leads to. So I think it's important, but I think community is one of the main aspects of that, because you can still come to the gym and be full of people and still be one of the loneliest people here. So I think that the community and the atmosphere of someone showing, so one of the big factors for me here was, especially from Lee and Adam, was they genuinely cared. Do you know what I mean? And there's nothing in it for them in like a personal gain. Like if you're at a job or something, they're doing it because they're paid to do it. And even though obviously this is a program set up to help people, I feel like they've gone above and beyond, and I've never had anybody really do that for me. So that makes a big difference, and it does to many people.
And you now help people that have been through what you've been through,
yeah.
which is incredible. Where do you start with that? What's your advice to people that were in the spot that you were in?
I suppose the first thing, anyway, because I help with gym inductions and stuff, listening to people is a big aspect. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes we're just waiting for them to stop speaking to give our answer, and we're not really listening to what's actually going on with someone's life. And I believe, going on from the Community Trust, I work for St. Peter's Church now, and we help get people into rehab. We actually go into prisons and work with ex-offenders and help people at risk of reoffending. So I believe that building relationships is important, and you can only help someone when you identify their root issue. Until you've identified the root issue, you're just putting a plaster over a wound. So I think speaking to people here to explain about that we've gone through the same circumstances, the same lifestyle, that we know where you're at that time, and to demonstrate that if you stick with this, do you know what I mean? It's more than just, as I say, it's more than just gym sessions and football. It's a family, and for most people who've gone through drug addiction and stuff, and not everybody, but have suffered some sort of brokenness, and normally broken families or whatever, broken relationships, which have led to that. So I try and amplify that. This is about a support network, that people who've gone through the same circumstances as you wants the best for you for nothing in return, and it seems to go work out that way, to be honest.
Yeah, because of what you've been through, do you think it's easier for them to listen to you? It's easier for you to help them because they can look at you and sort of be like, well, he knows where I'm at, he knows what I'm feeling because he's been.
I think so. On a broader scale, I don't like to help people because I think we have in the world that we grow up in, we create class systems and stuff, don't we? And we think, oh well, somebody who's middle class and stuff doesn't know or experience, or someone who's gone through education and have done all the studying and are telling me about an addiction. Your mindset's like, well, you don't know nothing about it because you're just reading from a book. And to understand the pain and the feelings and the regret and the shame that kicks in, I think that does work massively in your favour. I would like to emphasise though, I think people from different backgrounds help break down them barriers. So for me, I used to think it was us and them, but I've had people, not just in the trust, but in my personal life, who have helped me, and it made me see that compassion's a big thing, and that there's people who've got a passion for people and empathy. Just because they haven't been through the same thing doesn't mean that they care. So I think it's important in the initial stages, because you need somebody to engage and listen, and if you haven't experienced some sort of pain or some sort of lifestyle that they've had, naturally they're going to be like, well, what do you know? But I do think it's a bit of a balance of both, because we don't want to get in the stigma of you can only help someone if you've been a raving addict, to be honest.